Right now, as you're checking your grocery receipt and wondering why a dozen eggs still costs more than a share of some tech stocks, something far more dangerous is happening behind the curtain. And trust me, when even a monkey starts counting eggs instead of bananas, something's off in the ecosystem. You've seen the headlines. Bitcoin dipping overnight, Nvidia shedding billions in a single session, and gold, boring old gold, hitting record highs near $5,000. You're being told these are separate events, just market volatility or geopolitical jitters. But that is a lie. Even monkeys know when noises in the jungle aren't random. They're warnings. What we are actually witnessing is the first systemic trust unwind of the 2020s. The invisible glue that holds your retirement account, the dollar, and the global economy together is dissolving in real time. In the jungle, when trust breaks, nobody sleeps. Everyone watches the trees. Ask yourself, why is the risk-free world suddenly feeling so risky? Why is the world's smartest money treating the $700 billion AI boom like a ticking time bomb? And if the economy is so strong, why does every American feel like they're one layoff away from disaster? Even monkeys don't climb higher when the branch starts cracking. By the end of this video, you aren't just going to understand why the markets are cracking, you're going to see the hidden risk thermometer that predicted this crash weeks ago. I'm going to show you the data that proves why your diversified portfolio is actually just one giant bet on a single outcome. In the jungle, calling 5 bananas diversification doesn't help if they're all on the same tree. We're going to dive into the Trump tariff trap that nobody is pricing in. The real reason why Bitcoin and gold rising together is a sign of a dying system, and the one specific realization that will turn this dip into a decade-long reset. Monkeys don't panic at the first shake, but we leave before the tree falls. If you've been feeling like the world is less predictable than you were told, you're right. But most people are looking at the prices. We're going to look at the trust, because when trust vanishes, logic follows it out the door. And right now, the doors are being locked from the outside. In the jungle, that's when you stop arguing and start moving. Section 1. The Trap of the Quiet Collapse. The first thing you need to understand is that the everything bubble didn't pop with a bang. It's deflating through 1,000 small cuts. We call this the trap of the quiet collapse. Monkeys fear silence more than noise, because silence means something already left. For the last few years, we've been living on a diet of narrative-driven growth, where the promise of the future was used to justify the debt of the present. But in 2026, the narrative has finally hit a brick wall. In jungle terms, stories don't feed you when the fruit runs out. The AI promise. Big tech companies like Microsoft, Google, and Amazon are projected to pour an eye-popping $700 billion into AI infrastructure in 2026 alone. To put that into perspective, that's more than the Indian government's entire annual expenditure for a nation of 1.4 billion people. Even monkeys pause when someone starts throwing that many bananas into one pile. We are witnessing a capital expenditure race that has no historical precedent. And in jungle, races without finish lines usually end badly. The reality check. Investors are finally asking the one question that kills every bubble. Where is the profit? Amazon stock recently took a hit because their capex was $200 billion, a staggering $50 billion higher than even the most aggressive Wall Street estimates. That's the moment when even optimistic monkeys stop clapping. The market is finally realizing that AI isn't just weightless software, it's a massive, expensive physical hardware. It is steel, silicon, and copper, and it requires an electrical grid that is already screaming for mercy. You can't eat code, and you can't power servers with hope. Monkeys learned that a long time ago. This is the point where the digital dream meets the physical limit. We're no longer fighting over users or clicks. We are fighting over transformer high voltage lines and water rights for cooling systems. In the jungle, fights over water never end politely. Global data center electricity use is projected to hit 1,050 terawatt hours this year, roughly the same amount of power used by the entire country of Japan. In states like Virginia and countries like Ireland, data centers are now consuming nearly 30% of the total national power supply. That's not growth, that's crowding the the watering hole. When the cost of keeping the lights on for a chatbot starts competing with the cost of your grocery bill, the narrative breaks. This is why you're seeing utility companies hike rates for residents to fund grid modernization that really only serves the server farms next door. Even monkeys notice when someone else is eating their share. The quiet collapse happens when the math of the virtual world collides with the physical constraints of reality. We've reached the ceiling of digital growth, and the floor is starting to give way. In the jungle, ceilings don't matter. Floors do. This is the first loop we need to close. Why is everything breaking at once? Because the world's largest companies are betting $700 billion on a technology that the physical world literally cannot power yet. And monkeys never bet their entire future on a tree that hasn't finished growing. Section 2. The Screaming Thermometer. To understand why your tech stocks are wobbling, you have to stop looking at Wall Street and start looking at the 24/7 chaos of the crypto markets. Bitcoin isn't just a digital coin, it's the global risk thermometer. Even monkeys don't check the calm pond, we watch the shaking leaves. Because it's globally traded, highly leveraged, and never sleeps, it reacts to bad news before the news hits the teleprompter. When trust erodes behind the scenes, whether it's banking stress or the latest political scandal, Bitcoin feels it first. In the jungle, the animals that never sleep notice danger before the rest wake up. It's falling because it's the only honest price left in a rigged game. Monkeys understand rigged games. We stop playing them. Think of it like the canary in the coal mine for your entire portfolio. When the canary stops singing, you don't wait for a press release from the coal company, you get out. In the jungle, when the birds go quiet, you don't ask why. Most retail investors wait for the S&P 500 to move, but by then, the smart money has already cashed out and moved into gold. This is the first stage of the great separation. We've been living in an era where everything goes up, but even monkeys know trees don't grow into the sky. That era just hit a brick wall of reality. Section 3. The Anxious Alliance. Gold meets Bitcoin. There's a massive tell happening in the markets, one that only appears when something is deeply unhealthy. Usually, gold and Bitcoin move in opposite directions. Gold is fear, Bitcoin is optimism. Gold is the bunker, Bitcoin is the rocket ship. Even monkeys keep escape routes separate from climbing routes. But right now, they're rising together. That's the part that makes the fur stand up. This is a massive warning sign. It means people still want upside. They still want to grow their wealth, but they no longer trust the institutions to protect it. In the jungle, that's the moment you start carrying food and watching the shadows. It's anxiety disguised as optimism. It's the sound of millions of investors saying, I want to get rich, but I don't trust the bank to stay open. Monkeys understand this instinct. We stash bananas when the weather turns strange. Section 4. The final reset. Every cycle ends when people stop saying, it's just a dip, and start asking, what if I was wrong? That shift doesn't need catastrophe, it just needs doubt. And doubt spreads faster than fear. Once doubt takes hold, new era thinking breaks. But this isn't total collapse, it's separation. The market shifts from rewarding stories to rewarding discipline. For disciplined investors, the trust unwind is painful, but cleansing. It clears the noise. But when the first major AI lab admits it can't pay its power bill, that's the final loop. And even monkeys know, you don't wait around when the lights go out.